was dated in 1981 that the clerk has had archived for us. This is not new, but I can tell you from 1981 to 1999, the traffic has gotten worse. So this is all we've done is literally taken this and updated some numbers. This is a fantastic guide. I have it electronically, I can share it with everybody, and we just put inflation numbers in here, but this is where we got a lot of information for this latest update, okay? So, I would now like to open the public. We already opened up, but we go forward. I'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak? Now, when I say in favor, doesn't mean you're for everything, but if you're in favor of having a residential parking program, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Is anybody in the room in favor? Okay, sir, can you just come to the podium and state your name and address for the record?
My name is Robert Terosian.
Hold on, Robert, hold on.
Is it on?
It's on now, Robert.
My name is Robert Terosian. I live at number 2 Cliff Street, Malden. I just came from an explosive situation with a neighbor running his business and his business apparel, his business equipment, that he had one of his employees parked in my driveway. I'm trying to leave, and I'm asking, who is this person in my driveway? His employee decided to park in front of my driveway, park in my driveway. It was so explosive that his wife came out, or I should say the resident's wife came out, then the husband came out, Steve Gordon, and made this situation more explosive. That they're parking their vehicles right across my driveway, they piggyback behind that car, they go up to the corner. If they have 1 employee, 2 employees that day, 3 employees, I have to suffer by it. I'm all for this sticker program. They don't belong there. He's running a business in a residential area. This is not fair to me. This will eliminate my problems that I'm having on Cliff Street.
Well, you got a couple issues there we'll look into it for you. I appreciate you speaking.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wants to come and speak in favor of it?
Hi, Kathy LeBlanc, CUF. I'm in favor of the parking, the stickers, especially on my street. There's people that, I believe they don't even live there, but they do stay overnight. I see them sometimes leave at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Their cars aren't registered or insured, and during the snowstorm of 2015, they would steal our parking spots. I happen to be semi-handicapped, and they took my parking spot, and I questioned them, and they told me I had no effing right, which I feel I do, because it took me 4 hours and then ended up being in bed for days. And if I pay my excise tax to the city, they should too.
Agreed.
So,
Any suggestions?
any,
Suggestions or input on what you saw tonight as far as how we can improve it if we do go forward?
if you do go forward, I mean, I like it for my street.
Yep.
I can't speak for anybody else,
Understood.
so I am for it.
I appreciate you coming out. Anybody else speaking in favor? Please come up forward and state your name and address for the record.
Lisa Loftus, 42 John Street. I'm not sure how much in favor it is, I'm leaning towards it. My issue would be, where is that $1.1 million startup going to come from to start this program if we're already in the red?
Yep, so
That's a big issue to look at before we can start that.
completely agree. And one of the things, and again, these are numbers on a piece of paper, we have to figure out, can we get the signs at a cheaper rate, can we use labor, but some of the ideas, once we collect the excise tax, say there's a $500,000 right there, the beauty of having an enterprise fund like our water fund is it can only be used for that source, and we can borrow on that fund for that use only. And we feel, given a pro forma, you can probably have it paid for within 2 years. Because you're gonna have to buy equipment, you're gonna have to buy cars, we know that. But the way we're going right now, we don't have enough enforcement, and I know the chief's in the back, and we want to give them more enforcement. Unfortunately, we can't do it within the police department. Part of this plan too would be taking that traffic department outside where Council Kinnon did that. It would really have to be a robust department. But also, I think the tickets that everybody, that when they see that number, these tickets, they're not going to be anybody in this room. Because most people here are probably obeying the law and parking the right way. The tickets we want to be is the people not using this tickets, if you're parking on a sidewalk, that's my pet peeve. We're spending a lot of money for sidewalks, I hate when I see people parking on the sidewalk. crosswalks, you know, there's a lot of things we need enforcement for, and we could borrow the money on that one particular fund to pay it back in 2 years, and then all that revenue going in. Remember, we still have winter parking, offsides, all these other traffic things. We want to have a plan where every ward gets coverage. So you would have a traffic person or persons in that ward all the time. And you get to know them, and then you get to know that they have it. I've talked to several residents here, I'm not saying they're for it, but they've all told me, oh, down that street, there's people parking and taking the train. We can do this piecemeal, and I'm not in a threatening way. If you don't want it, absolutely, we won't do this again. But every year, we add more and more streets to this, and it just creates a domino effect.
Well, you know, the other thing is too, is the city's created some of itself by letting large complexes and buildings go up and not have sufficient parking.
You're absolutely right.
That has created a big problem as well. And they just keep building all over the place. Oh, we can use one space. No, everybody in a house has a car now. It's not like when I was little. You know, in 1980, I know I'm dating myself, guys, but in 1980, I lived on John Street, and there was not one car on the street overnight, not one. You know, I didn't have a driveway. My dad made me take my car. He had a business across the street. I couldn't leave it on the street. I had to go put it in over his business, so there wasn't one car at night. I mean,
I completely agree.
so now it's just ridiculous, and you have like the apartment buildings where I live, the apartment buildings on the Fells Way, of course, there's a snowstorm, and the same thing, they come and pile on our street, they leave them there for days and nothing happens, or they park on the wrong side and don't get plowed properly, and, you know, there's a lot of issues that could help clean up, but it also is gonna create a lot of issues that you really have to work through before it even goes into effect, so.
Absolutely right, absolutely right. That's why we're gonna be, if we get the support and the suggestions to go forward, the council, or at least the ordinance committee, has already set some dates in the month of July and August, because we really want to get this going for a whole host of reasons. We're not gonna take the summer off. We really want to work through this and get this to be the best program that's out there.
And if you're a resident, you have a resident sticker, I think should be able to park anywhere in the city if you're gonna do this.
Fair enough.
So, that's another issue that, you know, T no T, you should be able to park wherever you live in the city. You're gonna charge people to do it, you should be able to park there, shouldn't be an issue.
All right, thank you. Anybody else speaking in favor? Please come forward and just state your name and address. Whoever wants to go first.
I'm Linda Thorson. I live at 24 Chestnut Street, and for the most part, I'm cautiously optimistic about this program. I think we've had permit parking in Ward 3 for a long time. It seemed to work pretty well, and this would, I think, regular. I think when I think about a program like this, I think about, is it necessary and is it fair? And to me, the big point of this program is enforcement.
Absolutely agree.
And that is what creates fairness, or helps to create fairness across the city. So as long as the enforcement works and it's fair, I think it'll work very well. One of the questions I have, a couple of questions. One is, what happens with business vehicles, workmen who are coming to your house for some reason? Is that something that would be covered by visitor's pass?
Yep.
I know some cities don't allow visitor's pass to be used for commercial vehicles, and I'm not sure how that works.
No, we would absolutely allow that. We would, in the current ordinance now, you can't have a commercial vehicle parked in the street overnight. You would allow to have that vehicle every day and come over. Obviously, you can do that. And there's things too, we haven't even talked about here that's been thrown out there, senior citizen discounts. Also, we've had, visiting nurses, medical technicians coming to the houses for people who are injured and are old. You need to build that program up like that. So there's ideas too of having that type of permit in place to have to allow it to happen. We're not looking to hurt the residents of the city, but there's no way we can do a blanket policy and protect all the streets by just having it the way we're doing it now. It's simply done piecemeal. And the council from Ward 2 is Council Cronin. Every year, more and more from Ward 2 gets permit parking because they just literally just keep on going further into the ward. And you live in Ward 3, it's the same idea. Upper Hawthorne Street, East Florida Road, they're not. That's where all the commuters are moving up that way because the lower half of Ward 3 is permit parking.
Another question I have is about rental cars or zip cars. Well, our household's gone down from 2 cars to 1.
Yep.
We're trying to be green. We have a new car that is hopefully will last us 20 years like the last one did. And I use Zipcar a lot, or I sometimes rent from Enterprise. And so can I use a visitor's pass if I park on the street briefly in Malden with a
That's a great point, and yes, absolutely, we would allow that. But it's a good point to think of when a resident uses it.
I just want to make one comment on Councilor Kinnon's presentation about the 35% residential exemption. I have a big question mark in my mind about that. I don't think I have enough information to know whether that's a good thing or not.
Fair enough.
I think that what we have to look at about how it impacted renters and homeowners in a differential way. So,
We can absolutely talk. I appreciate it. Anybody else speaking in favor? I know I'm a broken record, but name and address for the record, please.
Rosemary Bagley, 170 Emerald Street, Malden. I live on the other side of Depot Park that this previous person spoke of. And I drive down John Street, and I can tell you, if you stop at one end, you can't get to the other end because if a car is coming. The parking,
Yep.
now it's happening on Emerald Street. I know 2 cars that come every day and park. They're there all day until after supper time, and then somebody comes, gets in the car, and they leave. We have the train, the bus on the Fellsway, and we have the bus on Highland Avenue. So on both ends of, only half the way down Emerald Street, there's service for the MBTA. So anyone that wants to save money and not have to park somewhere, they park on our street. Off they go.
Great.
So I would have to be in favor.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak in favor?
Good evening, Council. Calvin Murphy on Church Street, not related to this bar, but another bar we're working like. I'd like to speak in favor of this parking sticker program, being originally from Cambridge, I'm subject to it as a young kid. I'm not in favor when we talk, as Councilor Ken says, we're looking for money, but I understand through excise tax and fines, we're going to make some money, so that's a plus. I don't think something you're looking at, if you're looking at the fact that we're controlling the community better. I've seen the city change in the years that I've been here, about 30, not always for the better. I lived through Son of Sam in New York when they arrested him down the street where I lived when I worked for federal law enforcement agency at that time. And we're all involved in that. So yes, that worked, it worked great. We control things, just looking out my bedroom window at night, wondering who's parked there, what they're doing inside that car right now.
Yep.
This is all stuff that we control. That's what we're looking for more than anything. I would like to caution you maybe on what you do with contractors.
Yep.
Because as a contractor, when we go into a community such as the wonderful Cambridge, the land of milk and honey, Somerville, Boston, we automatically add cost to what we're going to do to the consumer. I would not like to see contractors coming to this city doing work for our residents, feeling the same way that we do when we go to those communities. They need to go up $50 to cover your parking tickets for the day.
Fair enough.
My wife commutes from Malden every day and drives into Boston. Pays to go over the bridge and pays $55 to park every day.
Yep.
It's a lot cheaper when our kids were young and I was still living in Cambridge. I dropped my kids off to daycare from my sister-in-law here in Malden, and I got that ticket every day for $10 back then. It's $30 now. It's cheaper than parking in Boston. So what you're going to do here, if you charge the right money, you twist the right arm, you control our streets, you're going to make them safer and make a few bucks for the city. I'm in favor of that type of stuff. Thank you for your efforts on this.
Appreciate it, Mr. Murphy. Anybody else speak in favor? No, you can come on, you can stand behind so we can save some time. I want to get both sides. Go ahead, ma'am.
Lucille Foley, 26 Auburn Street. I'm not sure if I'm in favor of it or not.
Fair enough.
My question is, during the winter parking,
Yes.
it's only one-sided parking on the majority of the streets. What happens then with Salem Street and Mount Vernon that has no parking allowed during the winter storms? They park on our street and the other surrounding streets. So we just, even if we have the resident parking, we can't park on our street.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, we haven't even looked at that, but what we're hoping too is by having residential parking, people who, they lay it behind, they use your driveways. We have a lot of complaints, as I know, the ward councils, where the neighbors don't even use their driveway. They want to park up in the street because they don't want to, especially if it's a single driveway. We're hoping by somebody having to have a sticker now, it forces them to use all the capacity of their driveways, right? Now, in a winter storm, I'll be honest with you, we're a tight community as it is. We're hoping there's less cars and there's more parking, but I can't promise you. But we can definitely look into what happens in that situation. I mean, because the emergency hour is nobody can park. That's a safety issue, we have to make sure those thoroughfares stay open, but where do they go? We're hoping there's less cars and people won't use their driveway.
Because we have 3 apartment buildings
Yep.
in that area.
Yeah, and I know there was talk about the park buildings. I put in a paper last week that's in the ordinance right now that hopefully will be in September that it's
I
gonna
have
get.
a driveway, I use my
Yep.
driveway, but I have tenants. One of them parks in my driveway, the other has to park on the street.
So they would get a sticker because their cars are registered wrong.
Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
you're welcome, ma'am. Next.
Good evening, Kathleen O'Reilly of 126 Franklin Street. We've been here 21 years and we have seen an increase in parking and
Less parking. Less or more parking?
more parking on our street.
Oh, okay.
More on-street
Yep.
parking. We do own the 3-family and we are blessed to have a huge driveway, so our tenants, it comes with, parking space. I had an idea in regards to cost savings.
Okay.
To hire people who are non-police to assist the police department in ticketing, as well as setting up this program, hopefully. The other thing is granting. Can we do anything with federal granting to help us with our roads, repairs, piping, as well as this program to
Well,
implement it?
yeah, so the piping, the MWRA has a program you can borrow, I think $1 million at a time, 0%, we do that. I don't know what the federal government grants, we hear a lot of these grants, I don't know, I think the mayor's office works in that capacity. I think unfortunately sometimes the federal government's in the same situation we are, but I think we look for those grants. I know the water, the MWRA, we go for those grants every year, it's a rotation.
There have to be more on there.
Yeah, we can absolutely look, I know
Now,
there's
to help us.
Yep, I know there's a representation in the mayor's office. Also, right now, the traffic enforcement is they're not police officers, they're civil service, so they're not part of the police department. But we're looking to expand that to a bigger role, so we absolutely want to do that.
Doing the parking ticketing right
Yes,
now?
absolutely. Absolutely.
We need more of that, and instead of getting the vehicles from the city to do that, have the kids use their own cars if they have them, and just give them a little stipend, obviously for expenses, that would be a cost savings huge for the city.
Absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Anybody else speaking in favor? Council Kinnon, then we'll go to speaking against. Sorry, Council Attorney.
I just want to make a point on that. There are grants, we have SRF grants which allow us to pull the pipes up out of the street. Unfortunately, you got to have a way to repave them and redo the street. So we're kind of in a conundrum today where we might have access to some money which we could get the pipes out of the street. We have no method to pay for the 61 we got ripped up, let alone, again, doing that. So we have access, if we are willing, to some funds for tearing up the pipes. There may be others, you may be correct.
May I add, if you speak to CDM Smith, they may be able to assist you in getting funding for putting down roads.
Yeah, I won't touch that one, so, thank you.
Okay, and I also, sorry. Thank you, everybody. I also want to remind everybody, there is a parking survey that did they come on the water bills yet, Karen? July. They're going in the July water bills. So we're going to mail out, like we did for the Community Preservation Act. You can mail them back to us, or if you're into the technology and you want to go to the computer, it is located on the website right now. There's a survey, and we're looking to get those results for the people who could not make it here. And then I think with the council, a couple of councils already said this is one of many. We hope to take any input here, and based on the intel, if we decide to go forward and maybe have another one and tweak this and update it. But before we go to the anybody speaking against it, I keep on references because I find this amazing, that the preparation of this report was assisted by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Simply, the argument behind this was to get less cars off the road because in the 70s, as everybody knows, there was high pollution. So this was paid for partially by the EPA. And while we're here 30 years later talking about the same thing, for different reasons, but it was pretty amazing that, old things become new again. With that being said, I'd like to invite people who want to speak against this program. Take your time,
I just don't want to have my back to anybody here. So thank you, Counselor. Okay, let me take this off. Thank you, Counselor Spatafora, for having this public hearing. Counselor Kinnan, for your presentation. And thank you all for coming. This is great that you're all here. This is our system in action.
Counselor, name and address for the record?
It's David D'Arcangelo, 183 Baker
Procedural.
Street, Malden, Massachusetts. Thank you, Counselor. 183 Baker Street, Malden, Massachusetts, Counselor at Large. So I do want to just be very brief. I have some points here, but again, I wanted to thank all of you for coming out. This is our system at work. I appreciate everybody's involvement here. The council is trying to problem solve for very significant financial challenges over here. I respect all of my colleagues and their intent of what they're trying to do here. And let me just be totally clear. I think everybody here, for or against or whatever, everybody here recognizes that we have very significant parking challenges in the city of Malden. I guess me with speaking against, though, I just think that we can do it a little bit of a different way. That's all. So my 3 points particularly are, this would set a bad precedent in terms of paying for fee for services. Like, one of the things I think that made people most upset about the pay as you throw program, it wasn't the $2 a bag. I mean, that was part of it. But it was that was something that was being offered by the city of Malden for forever and a day. And all of a sudden you would say, well, you want your trash picked up, you're gonna have to pony up $2. Now we're saying, well, you want to be able to park anywhere, you're going to have to pony up whatever, you know, if you can't get the free sticker or whatever. So then what's next? Like, what's the logical extension of that? In 5 years, we're going to be back saying, you know, if you need police service or fire service, you better have your credit card ready or else we won't put out that fire. I mean, that's a hyperbolic example I'm using on purpose to prove the point of. We have free parking. This is a free society, so I'm really concerned of the precedence this is going to set of something that we already have. Number 2, to me, this takes freedoms away from our residents. And if it doesn't take it away fully, it certainly impacts them. Both your ability to be able to move around the city, you and your friends and your relatives and anybody else who's in your home or comes to visit you, it's going to impact that. But it's also impacting your financial freedom. So those 2 things I'm concerned about. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, is the city doesn't have a great track record of installing programs like this. We see with the bags what's going on. Now that they're starting to enforce, I don't know about my colleagues here, but I've been getting emails and calls and people stopping me saying, oh my God, this whole trash thing now, it's like 2009 all over again because of the implementation. So I'm really concerned about how this is going to be implemented and enforced and the workability of the program. So, I mean, basically what's being said is, well, we'll pay stickers and then we'll start enforcing. Why can't we just start enforcing now? Now, part of it is, yes, we need signage. I guess I just disagree that we shouldn't be asking you to pay for the signage, as I believe you already pay for it through your taxes, through your real estate taxes, through your excise taxes, through all the other taxes. So that's my prerogative. I'm very respectful of both sides here. I appreciate that this is a very significant change or potential change. I think Councilor Spatafora said it very well. Nothing has been decided yet. That's why we're here tonight. I think this is a great showing. And again, I don't want to take too much time. Those are my 3 points. Please, anybody, call me anytime, 781-789-4580. Or email me on the city website, ddarcangelo@cityofmalden.org. This process has a way to go. I'm very encouraged to hear that we'll be having more public hearings and meetings and things like that. So thank you again for your time. Thank you, councilors.
Next.
Well, I'm Tim DeGette from 148 Dexter Street, Ward 3, and I'm very happy that my Councilor Matheson, is president tonight. I see this whole presentation as trying to address 2 separate issues, bundling them together, and throwing one solution on it. So, I'm going to start with the first issue. Yes, we have parking issues, we have people on crosswalks, we have people on hydrants, we have people cracking the sidewalks that we just put in. The meeting that was held last week, that's up on YouTube that I watched, That was talked about, and that was talked about enforcing current laws. We know you can't park on sidewalks. And it was talked about the fact that we can add staff and we can add resources, and that will pay for itself. Right, so I'm for that section of ticketing the people who are stopping at dumps and grabbing their coffee in the morning and jamming the commuter center. I get that, and I'm definitely for that. It will pay for itself. In terms of the signage, if we're not charging people the $50 in the first year, then I think the signage would also pay for itself through these other programs.
But can I ask this question? Who's getting charged $50 the first year?
I just, let me clarify, because I said if there's no $50 charge in the first year, then we clearly don't need the $50 for the upfront cost to cover the, I assume this would be a ban originally, bond anticipated note to borrow money.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, go ahead.
The future stream, we do need that money. The future stream of payments, which, and, you know, didn't put this in the presentation, but just like the residential tax exemption is a burden that shifts from the resident homeowner to the renter, particularly those, you know, those in the commercial buildings and whatnot. The lady from Auburn Street has the Auburn down the end of the street, and a number of other apartments. We all have those. The average turnover in the greater Boston area for somebody living in an apartment is less than 2 years. So our apartment dwellers are going to be the ones largely burdened by the $50. And in fact, those people, when they come into the city brand new, are going to pay us $50. So this absolutely shifts the burden again, and that is a very large sum of money that we will get on an annualized basis, somewhere between $350,000 to $450,000 a year, and you pay for things like this by taking it and applying against the fund and then paying for it over time. Thanks.
So Councilor, I actually have your assumptions from the other day. So to your point, 76% of your cars in the out years were estimated to be renters. It was about 10,000 in the renter turnover and about 3,000 from our own people. So that would be about 76% of the cars. I want to come back to that. I think it's an important point. But I do think in terms of all of the parking enforcement, we need to be fair, equitable, and fiscally responsible, which basically just means you got to get bang for your buck. We should probably look at the 16-hour shifts. I think that there might be some efficiencies by randomly selecting neighborhoods on any given night and randomly scheduling. I think you can effectively manage multiple wards or just even multiple areas by randomly picking nights. And much like maybe a military would choose a sniper to kind of randomly have that psychological effect that we don't allow that type of parking in our city. So that's the parking side of things that's current.
And I just want to clarify, we don't have 16-hour shifts now.
That's what was proposed. I'm saying we could probably rein in that cost.
But that doesn't cover the commuters. Not during the day.
Yes, so that's what was in the proposal, and that covered the day and the night shift. From what I saw, again, I'm holding the document from the Public Action Network, I think it's called. So part one is the parking. The other problem the city is trying to solve is excise tax evasion. Let's call it what it is. It's excise tax evasion, and it's insurance fraud. You're lying about where that car is garaged. So the question that I think was missing from, and Councilman Kennedy, Jeff, thank you. You did a great job laying it all out. The question I think was missing was, should we be taxing the people who are already abiding the law, or should we hit the people who are actually evading us now? And I think this program will not impact the people who are evading us now. Councilor Lars just said, we're encouraging people to use their driveways. This program will encourage people to use the driveways when they're violating the law and not registering their cars. The house up on Hawthorne Street, it's been referenced a few times, sure, it has 6 or 7 cars right now. 4 of those could go in the driveway. So I think with this program, you will never achieve 100% compliance with the stickers. I don't think that should be the goal, but at that individual house, we're talking about 20%. And most of these apartment complexes, we're talking about large parking lots. And again, Councilor Spatafora, I did the same survey you did. I ride the T home, I walk up Cedar Street, I see people have just paved over their front lawns, which I have to assume is some sort of ordinance violation in and of itself. We have the laws already on the books. If we did it right with these additional parking enforcement resources, we could target that as well. Certainly, they could just jot down, let the ordinance committee know, hey, I walked by this when I was doing my normal route. I also have another ethical problem with the $50 stickers in the out years. And if you think about a house that has off-street parking, it has a driveway, it has a garage, that house has higher property value. That's a safe assumption, right? So the houses that don't have off-street parking are predominantly, you would assume, lower income families. Certainly lower than the houses that, some of the ones in the West End that have driveways and garages. So if we're going to charge people for the off-street parking, then I think this would tax unjustly and predominantly the lower income families. And I don't think that's right. I think it could be construed as a property tax. That's how I look at it. It's going to hit those people harder than the people up in, let's say, Ward 3. Predominantly their drivers. I'm not just a problem person though. I want to provide another avenue that we can look at, because the parking sticker program, like I said, it's not going to fix all the problems. With all due respect, it's not going to fix your problem with your neighbor parking literally in your driveway. So I look for the alternative solution. The crackdown needs to be on the rental population. You started that work, and I think you were heading down the right road there, and you talked about the turnover, 44% turnover. There's 1 car per unit. They're parking off the street. They're parking in the lots that are part of the apartment complexes, and they're going to park in the driveways where they live. The person who knows best who is parked there illegally and has not registered their cars are the landlords and the apartment complexes who are managing their own parking lots. And for example, up on Summer Street here, they have a big lot. They know how many cars are there, and they'll tow you if you're not supposed to be there. So someone in that apartment complex knows which cars are supposed to be there and knows the license plate and knows that it's a New Hampshire or a New York plate. So I think there's an avenue that we should explore that focuses particularly on apartment buildings. I know that you're working on that already in general. But I think we should make some decisions about what do we look at? Do we look at places that have 3 units? Do we look at places that are commercial big properties? We probably shouldn't hit the mom and pop people who are just renting the 2nd floor of their house. But certainly these big apartment complexes, they're the ones who are literally harboring tax evaders and people who are committing insurance fraud. Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is William Cullen. I live in Clyde Street in Malden. And I see my councilor is over there, and I haven't heard what he has to say yet. And I'd like to hear what he says before I speak. Thank you.
Okay, well, the only thing is, sir, we have a public hearing, and unless the council wants to get up to speak against it, I just have to keep it going the way it is.
Well, if the councilor doesn't want to get up, that's his privilege.
Yeah.
But I would expect me and my councilor, he will get up, because he knows in my past, I've been 82 years in Malden, and I don't take too much guff from the city fathers, okay? This here is a plan. It's a plan by the city fathers to push this thing in. Whether we like it or not, it's the same thing as the bag fiasco that went on back in the early part of the 20th century. It's a farce. We don't even know. I'm going to get you proof that certain people in this city are getting their bags for free.
Okay, sir.
For free.
Sir.
And happen again.
This is the I have to.
Yeah, people won't, they'll be.
I understand that, I understand that.
Yeah, that's okay, I don't yield it, what do you have to say?
I'm just saying, this is, I want the people behind you, it's about speaking against the parking, sir, it's not the trash bag forum.
Okay, we'll make it similar to the trash can.
It's all-
fiasco. It's done by the city fathers, it's invented by the city fathers, and they're the ones that are gonna be held responsible when it goes down the chute, like the other bag thing. It's still there, like a sick puppy, we see it every day. And I, for one, remember it. And I'll remember this one starting tomorrow. I'll what the other people are against it. I'll listen to what they have to say, and I'll be more enlightened and more informed about what concerns the city. What the hell, I'm just an old dog. Step on me.
Anybody else who's with, I appreciate it, anybody else who's willing to speak against it, please come forward.
My name is George Lasky, I live at 52 Blue Hill Avenue, Malden. One of my gripes is the $50 charge. I think it should be done every year if it's going to be enforced. No more than $2 or the highest $5. Don't do like we did with the bags. Do that thing in the back room. It was passed before with the public meetings. Another thing is, you don't enforce the laws you haven't put now as far as parking. At the meeting that you had at the February School quite a few years ago, I brought up the fact of the condo association up in my neighborhood. It was supposed to be, when they built it, we were promised, because I was one of the original members of the Maplewood Highlands Improvement Association. We were promised that there would be no parking on the street. There's at least 40 cars on the street every night when there's room in their parking lot. They should be forced to park in their parking lot. Also, the condo association, they will not let a commercial truck park in there. They're parking in front of other people's properties. Why aren't you enforcing the commercial plate?
Mr. Lasky, I'm glad you asked, because we do have the chief in the back, and he wants to address the audience anyway, so we can ask, I completely agree with you. And the other thing is, so, just so I'm clear, are you saying that the $50 is too high for the life of the car, and you would recommend, if you, and I'm not saying you're a favor, but you said $2 a year?
$2, if you pay your excise tax, you should either get it for nothing, or how much does it cost?
Well, you would get that in the plan, right? And the $50 the number we saw there, even if it was $10. It was, the point is, it was cheaper to administer paying one time. So everybody, part of the burden is going back, when Everett did this, I met with Everett 3 years ago. And also, this is the third time we've attempted to do this. So this is not something we're trying to jam for.
I know, I'm not your own meeting.
But the same token is, every year it gets worse with parking, okay? Absolutely gets worse. When Everett did it, their problem was they made it annual and they had to hire more staff internally in the office to administer that every year. You got to make sure they pay their excise tax to mail it out, right?
Well, what proof do you have if I move to Melrose?
Well, that's why you have to get a new sticker. That's why we give a new sticker every year. We just mail it out in your annual excise tax.
It should be for nothing. We pay taxes.
It is.
We pay excise tax for the repair of the roads now. Why am I paying another tax to park in front of my house? I pay taxes.
And I agree with you, but in this plan, what I'm saying to you is, you said the $50. You would get that sticker for free. We're not asking you to pay the first year or the second year.
Well, what's the $50 ticket?
The $50 was the life, the fee was for the life of, the initial ticket is for the life of, the initial sticker is for the life of the vehicle. How long have you had your car?
My car's in 1999, I'm probably gonna trade it in, so now I gotta pay $50 as soon as I trade it in?
Well, if the number's $50, but you said you'd recommend going $2 a year.
Yes.
I mean, the problem is it's administrative, that's why it was a one-time fee, and everybody's point was, it wouldn't affect everybody. Everybody's excise tax, you'd get it for free now.
All I'm getting to the point is, I go to Broadway Square, drive through there, I see cars parked in front of the fire hydrant every day. I go to Maple Square, there's cars parked in front of Sunnyburst and the bus stop every day. They're not being enforced. The only time anything got enforced up my neighborhood was when I talked to Sergeant Deeds. And I gotta thank him, he went up and he got things straightened away right away. But there's the same woman parking in the intersection every night and she has never been ticketed. She belongs in the parking lot. we were promised that no cars would be, and this is from the city of Malden, we were promised this, that was part of the agreement when they built that building up there. It was in a residential A neighborhood, residential, single family.
When was that building built?
87. And the agreement was...
Is this Loomis Street?
Yes. The agreement was that no cars would be in the street.
Okay, this is part of the planning
And
board?
this is part of the planning board agreement.
I can look it up, we'll look it up absolutely for you.
We ended up suing the city over this building.
Okay, 1 second, Council Kennedy, you have a question?
Yes, can I ask a question? And Loomis Street isn't in my ward, but I don't recall that there is no parking signs all the way down Loomis Street. Is there, Mr. Lasky?
The parking signs on Loomis Street were taken down. Bobby Deeds is the one that got them put back up. But there was the agreement with the planning board.
I understand that, but while there were no signs there, just so we're clear, everybody in Briar Hill, under our current system, they could park on any street they want.
No. When they built it, the agreement with the planning board was that they had room for every car.
They have abided by that.
They
The
have not
issue-
abided by it.
They have spots for every car. The issue is, the individual can park anywhere. Anywhere.
The agreement was with the Maplewood Highlands Improvement Association that there would be no parking on the street.
Mr. Lasky, you're missing the point. That's with the Briar Hill folks. You're absolutely correct. But I, as an individual, if I want to go and park my car in front of your house tonight, I have every right to do it under the current system. Whether my plate is from New York, New Hampshire, or any other place. We
You
can't.
do not have a right to park within 20 feet of an intersection.
Okay, we're going off topic, we're going off topic. I just want to make sure we move the meeting forward. Do you have any more points, Mr. Lasky? I wrote down that day, I was looking to the planning.
What about the fire hydrants? Why ain't that being...
Well, the chief is here, I want to see the chief come up.
Okay, thank you.
Let the other hands be heard.
Yeah, I didn't, the chief has to, okay. Speak, I'm sorry, ma'am, can you come forward and speak your name? That's the record. You're welcome, ma'am.
Anne Marie Mondioni, I live at 127 Hawthorne Street, been there for 26 years. I'm already in a permitted zone, which has been a struggle because we have 4 cars. I have 2 college-age daughters, 2 in the driveway, 2 on the street. My husband has a company car, so we have to use our 1 visitor pass for his car. So I have no visitor pass for visitors.
Okay.
So this has already been a problem. I just deal with it. The permit, the law you're proposing is too restrictive. Are you telling me that on the weekend, I only have 2 guests? I only have 2 passes. I'm in a T zone.
No, it would be the same as you, it would weekends are free. You can park anywhere on the...
You said except for T zone.
No, what I think Council Kidd was saying, in certain areas, we have certain areas near the square, that if they would, we would open up the weekends and holidays to anybody. If you live 2 feet from the train station, you might say, I want permit parking all the time. And that's up to that particular street. But the plan we're proposing in the city would be, on the weekends, would be open and holidays. Council Kidd.
Okay. So
Yes, ma'am, just a question. So you have 4 cars in your house today?
yeah,
And how many have stickers?
3.
3 have stickers, and so you're paying $75 a year right now, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah, so-
but the other thing you're missing with the equation is that if I have 3 vehicles that we own, we're probably overturning a vehicle at a cost of $50 in less than a 5-year period because they're all of different ages.
Absolutely, so today you're paying $75 a year.
Plus my 1 visitor pass.
Right, which
gives
is,
me no visitors.
which you're paying $75 a year. If you turn 1 car over, a year, you will save, even if you turn each car over, every 4 years, you turn each car over, you will save $25 a year under this program.
It's really.
And you will get 4 stickers, which allows you to park on the street.
I can't get 4 stickers because my husband's car, the company car, is not registered to our home. So I have to use a visitor pass for his car. If he comes home and 2 cars are in the driveway, he has to be on the street. Therefore, he leaves with my visitor pass.
Are they commercial plates? Are they commercial plates?
No.
Yeah, we're trying to work, I mean, leasing for company cars is something we talk about.
So hopefully you resolve that issue, then I have.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, if you can prove you live in the house and your vehicles and, you know, whatever, so I mean,
Right,
again.
that should have been done
Yes.
already, but.
Yep.
I-
Fair enough. I mean, that's something we can tweak now.
So I only get 2 visitor passes.
Okay.
And so I have college-age kids. They typically do have people staying over in my house on the weekends. They come out of Boston, it's a safe place, I like having them, and now what? Only 2 of them, like, you're gonna, the overnight parking does not solve any commuter issues for me. It's affecting the quality of life, the people I can have in my home.
But you don't have the commuter issue right now.
I don't have what?
You don't have the commuter issue because you're already in a permitted area.
I really don't have a commuter
Yeah.
issue there, like you're solving a problem that I've never had, and for my neighborhood.
Correct, I mean, that's because you have permanent parking, and that's what we're trying to somewhat adopt in the entire city, is because nobody can park in front of your house that's from out of the city, or out of that street for them, or that area.
Right, but I'm saying that if no one can park overnight on my street without a sticker, I cannot have overnight guests. My children cannot have their friends staying in my home.
But how do they do it now?
How do they do it? Because you don't need.
Oh, because you're talking about the overnight portion,
You don't
okay.
need a permit at night, you don't need a permit on the weekend.
So are you saying if it was, you want more visitor passes? I'm just trying to, is that the issue for
I want
you?
to be able to have people in my home on the weekend. I want to be able to have a party that goes till after midnight on a Friday and Saturday night. I cannot have people parked on the street who are visiting my home. That's ridiculous. I'm not a wild and crazy person. I don't run a frat.
No,
But I do stay up after midnight on occasion, and I have.
Well, and I think the thing is, kind of in a way, is weekends first of all are open, right? Weekends will be open.
Not overnight, you park.
Yeah, no, weekends are absolutely,
Overnight,
weekends are open.
I need a sticker for overnight parking, which weekends at midnight. Is it not on weekends?
I mean, I would, yeah, okay.
That's
I
new.
mean, that's the point of this, honestly, to get the feedback like this. And to your point with the parties, while you might have one party a month, I think the councils sometimes are faced with, you do have those frat houses, and there's nothing we can do. Nothing.
Right, but why are you stomping on me? You know, I don't need your foot on my neck, because I'm having a legitimate family or friend gathering that, what if you're gonna send somebody at 12:05 to get tickets, to get revenue, when I'm having a party like this, it's making me hostile. As far as the guest passes, do I have to pay for those guest passes every year at $20?
No, we haven't got the price, but it won't be.
They're $10 of guest pass.
Yeah, it'll be the same as you have now.
I renew them every year, so it's gonna cost me $20 every year to get my 2 guest passes.
Well, you're doing that now, right?
I only get 1, and
Oh.
I don't have one for this one, my husband's car. So.
But you hopefully we can get.
But that wasn't, yeah, so it's $20 per year, not, that one's not gonna last for the life of my entity.
Correct.
Okay. All right, that's just.
Okay, I appreciate it. Next. Sir.
Great, I know what you're gonna say. I made a simple request to have my counselor come up and give us a little steering room of what, about whether we should be for this or against it. And I thought, you being the chair of this meeting, you would ask him to come and give his opinions.
If the
People want to know what they're actually doing.
Okay,
You don't have to come to a special meeting like this when we're not even.
Sir, I'm trying to answer the question, sir. Be respectful.
Meetings are not taking place.
Ma'am, yes. If you don't mind yielding, since the gentleman wants to keep on getting up and asking for the council from his board to speak, I have no problem. Do you mind if you step in, if it's the... Well, I can handle this.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Collins. I can handle this in one of two ways. All these people are waiting patiently to speak, and the value to us is to hear their opinions. I don't mind yielding to them, and we have a very short council meeting tonight. Personal privilege comes at the end. I can tell you all my thoughts on this. I attend all the ordinance meetings. I'm not on that committee, but I have no reluctance to tell people how I feel about this. But in short, I'll touch on a couple points. I do think that the increased excise that that will result from this program will fund the signage. And enforcement, something that's very lacking in the city, I think we'll all agree, is something that is cost neutral. Enforcement typically pays for itself. It generates revenue to pay for the ticket ride. I don't think that we need to be charging residents another fee or tax, as some might call it, in order to park their vehicle in the streets. I feel like these are your streets, you should be able to park on them.
Ma'am? Yes. I just want to make, no, you're next. Just want to make sure your mic's on. Okay. Yep, that's it.
I'm Carol Nelly. I live at 35 Wyoming Ave. It's in the Oak Grove area.
Can you speak a little bit louder, Carol?
Well, I've never been accused of having done that before, but I would gladly speak louder. Okay. I live at 35 Wyoming Ave. I've lived there just about my whole life. I bought the home I live in. I grew up in. So in the Oak Grove area, we've had the parking permit in place almost since the beginning of Liberty. T came to Oak Grove, I think in '79, and you said the program came into effect in the '80s as far as I mean, it was free for a long time. It was free. Okay. And the thing is, from what I know, Councilor Kinnon, from what is in effect right now, it's not $25 per car. There's an administrative fee. If you walk into the police station and get it, you pay $25. If you do it by mail, it's $10. And then for each car, it's $5 a sticker. So it's not $25 a car. At least what I pulled up on the website. What we just recently did is we had to get a sticker. And because my husband had to go to the police station, they charged him $25. And then it was $5 for the visitor pass, and they're only allowed one visitor pass. The thing is, it hasn't been a real problem in my area because of the fact it's from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. I think it was even till 6. I think they recently changed it till 7 p.m. So people could come at night and visit my home. There wasn't a big deal. Now you're talking 7 till midnight and saying after midnight, and this is ideally done, just like the lady before me, that you're going to stop parking, you'll knock on doors if there are parties and tell them they're going to be ticketed if they don't leave so that to get out. And this is, last time you tried this, it was public safety was the biggest thing. You were talking about hiring 4 cadets. You said it was going to bring in $300,000, okay, income. All right, and then they looked at it and said it was probably going to bring in $150,000. Now you're saying it's going to bring in $1 million. Everett gives their parking, it's free. Where they make their money is on their tickets. Okay, so I guess that you're planning on, one part of your presentation that I read prior to this was you were planning on, the money is basically because of the tickets that you plan on. But if there are signs all over the city, well, this should educate the people enough to know they can't park, so you're not going to make that revenue. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. So I really feel like this is like a big brother type of thing of, midnight, you're trying to enforce this. You couldn't agree last time when you were saying 11 o'clock. Now you're going to 12. Okay, and I just find that, like, why don't you be forcing people out of Malden, not in? And Everett is not a commuter city. We are. That's one of the charms of Malden that we advertise. We have a T-stop in Oak Grove, which was supposed to go to Melrose and Wakefield, but that's another story. We have a commuter rail in Malden Square and Malden. So we have the Orange Line and the commuter rail. So as far as what you're saying about what we're missing in cars, and people can park in their driveway if they're out of state. Students do not have to register their cars. Seniors, there's different ones that are excluded from this. So all this income that you're talking about, I feel is on the backs of the residents, and I'm ashamed. I'm really ashamed. I've lived here my whole life, and I'm ashamed of this policy. And I'm sorry, a lot of you you know, we can agree to disagree, but I totally disagree with what you're doing now. And that's.
So Carol, just for the record.
Yeah.
Are you called overnight?
Excuse me?
Is Everett's overnight?
Everett's over, yeah, but they pay. What they do is they charge their residents for the visitor passes, is what they do.
So if the stickers were free, are you still against it?
If the stickers were free, my biggest problem is
Because
your hours of enforcement.
But Everett's got the same hours, there's no overnight parking. The reason why it would be longer, the reason why too is you.
I don't care what Everett does.
I'm not.
I live in Walden. I want to Everett because you use Everett as an example. You use Cambridge as an example. I had my aunt's funeral, and let me tell you, in Cambridge, when we had to go to a business, to go after hours, to try to park, her after, get together with the family, some of us had to almost leave because we couldn't find parking in Cambridge. Malden, I circled the city as it is to try to get parking. I don't frequent Malden downtown because of the parking issues, because there is no parking unless you park in a parking garage. So you want to turn Malden into Cambridge? I never go to Cambridge anymore. And I said, except for my aunt's funeral. So if this, you want to put, why don't you just put, I'm sorry, a fence around the city of Malden, because I think that's what you're doing with this parking.
No, Carol, the reason why I was asking, I didn't know if you were trying to say you like Everett.
No, but Everett is different than Malden.
And we also checked, the fee is $30 it's 25 plus $5, and it's 10 plus 5.
No, it's not 20. It's 25.
We just pulled it off the website. Because I've been paying 25, I know so if you go in, it's 25, and if you get a meal, it's 25 plus 5.
It's $10 if you do it by mail. It's $10 by mail, not 25.
It's 15, it's 15.
Right, $10 by mail, $5 for the car. Okay, it's an administrative charge of $10.
Is it 15?
10. Administrative.
Yeah. And it's 30, so it's 25 plus 5.
That's if you walk in, if you go to the police station. So instead of, because they are servicing you, evidently you have to get paid, charge an extra $15 for that. If you do it by mail, it's $10, not 25.
Okay.
So, and I guess my thing is, I would love to see a draft of what you're putting together and share it with the residents. Because I've been hearing a lot of things, I've been looking up a lot of things, and I just have a real, I had a problem with it when you tried it before. And I have a real problem because you've been making it worse. I know you spent a lot of time on it, but this isn't the answer, it's penalizing the residents of the city, and that's what I feel like you're doing.
Fair enough.
Okay?
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris Costa, Congress Ave, Ben Curls, the counselor. I won't ask her to speak, but I like parts of this, but I don't like, I have a 98 Nissan. I get a free parking sticker supposedly when it starts. If I trade my car, why would I have to pay $25 or whatever for a new sticker when I'm paying excise tax on that car? So that makes no sense.
And Chris, so I can give you the background there. The reason why is because the permit parking area now, where they live on Hawthorne Street, where I live on Elm Street, we pay 25 right now.
But you pay because you're parking for T and in other words, areas that do not have that. Why should we be penalized?
The only reason why I say that is because the parking area for the T continues to grow further and further and further away.
Right.
That's where we get that number from and copying it to go citywide.
Okay.
That's what that came from.
And the other thing is, you were talking about enforcement. I sent you and Councilor Crowe an email.
Yep.
Like why, when you have meat enforcement salaries and you have traffic supervisors, every person there is a traffic supervisor. Why are the meter people spending all day doing the meters? Why not have them do the traffic. Have them, give them the ability to write tickets. Don't have them doing whatever it is they're doing. I mean, you've got, in the city budget, you've got like 20 or so traffic supervisors. So, why not use that to enforce, use that instead of, penalizing people. And as for overnight parking.
Listen, I was just informed, it was like another crossing guards following it again.
Well, they're all, according to what this says, this is traffic supervisors.
They consider crossing guards traffic supervisors.
But.
Just 20 threw me for a loop, I didn't think it was 20, but fair enough, I get it.
But who is enforcing these parking now?
Yeah, so I know there's a line too, but the chief's here, because some of these questions, I'll be honest with you, I don't have all the answers.
That's
I'd like to
fine.
have the chief come up. Does anybody mind if the chief just comes up and gives a quick?
I'm all done, I just want to say, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Chris, Chief, can you just answer some of the concerns the teachers here for traffic? We've heard about enforcement, we've heard about number of officers. Can you just give a quick update on how many people we have doing this on a daily basis and any of the problems we have?
Okay, well, Sergeant Dees in charge of traffic, he would have the exact numbers on personnel that are.
Yeah, Chief, you mind just talking the mic simply because we're recording it? Thank you.
We have approximately 14 traffic supervisors, but bear in mind.
We have a confirmation point of information. Council Kennedy.
Yes, I want to make a point very clear here, because the last speaker spoke in terms of that being my plan. As Councilor Spatafora showed, there was a plan from 1981. I sit on the committee. I'm a financial person by trade, and I was asked by the committee to update the numbers and took the format directly out of the book from 1981. And so the numbers that you see tonight are updated from that. It is not a plan, it is similar to a plan. Very happy 3 years ago and 6 years ago that we put together. But that plan is directly out of that book from 1981. So I won't take credit for the authorship of it other than updating the financial numbers in it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant Dees.
How about now? My name is Sergeant Bob Dees. I'm in charge of traffic for the Malden Police Department. I've been on the department for a little over 39 years. We have approximately 14 traffic enforcement officers, but bear in mind, these aren't people that work 8 hours a day. So, some of them are 15 hours a week. We have one that's, I believe, two that are 20 hours a week. And so even though it sounds like we have a lot of people, we really don't based on the hours that they are set to work. Part of the reason why the hours are as they are is if they keep them below the 20 hours, the city doesn't absorb the expense of benefits. So, so I mean, if you want to ask me something else, or...
All right, so that answers the question about how many people are assigned to the task of enforcing the parking issues in the city. So Sergeant Dees said it's 14, but bear in mind only 2 of them work 20 hours and all the rest work less than 20 hours. So there's nobody that's doing this 40 hours a week as a full-time employee, all right? That's been cleared up. Just on a general statement I'd like to say is, I live in the city myself. I live on Russell Street in Edgeworth. I'm here more for a general overview, the implementation side of this that's been discussed. I'm just here to say that I do believe that we should not have a situation where people are living in the community and not registering their cars here. Right? They're clearly violating the law. They're getting over on paying excise tax in the community. I believe that everybody that is here on either side of this issue probably has their car registered in Malden. Because that's where you live, and that you did the right thing. I think we all know that there are people that are living here that are not registering their cars in Malden, and they're not paying excise tax in Malden. That is wrong, it's not legal, and it actually creates a law enforcement problem. If somebody lives in, say that their vehicle is registered in Reading, but they live in Malden, and they commit a crime, a hit and run, they get the plate of the vehicle, where's it gonna come back to? Reading. Is there any way of knowing that that person lives in Malden, based on the vehicle information? No. So I think on the simple matter of having a system, an accountable system for the vehicles of people living in this city and registering, having cars in this city, the registration from that vehicle should be for the address where you live. I mean, I believe that anywhere. And no one should take advantage of getting over on, I mean, we can address the whole philosophical issue, are taxes too high wherever you live? But I think everybody here on either side of this issue would have to say, if somebody lives here and owns a car, register it here. Register it here. Because I think everybody that's come up here who has spoken for or against this pays excise tax if they own a car. You've done the right thing. And there's people that are not doing the right thing. I live in Edgeworth. I could tell you I could drive down the street tonight and there'll be multiple vehicles, some with out-of-state plates that I know live there. And, you know, I will say that, you know, one of the gentlemen very articulately mentioned that there are people that have moved to this community, you know, living in an economic situation that might, you know, provide some imposition on them. But the fact of the matter is they still own a vehicle that is registered. They have to be paying excise tax somewhere. Pay it here. Pay it where you live. And, you know, that's a very important point. With regard to would there be a residual benefit to us? You know, one lady brought up a very good point. I live in the city too, and she brought up a very good point about what if she has guests over her house for a gathering? You know, a very nice social gathering, it's not causing any problems, and would her guests now get tagged on the weekend because they're enjoying their company? I wouldn't feel good about that. But I will tell you this, you know, Sergeant Deese and I grew up together. It's not uncommon for us, and again, I don't want you to feel you gotta be, we're not the social police. But if you're having a party, and as we do many times, if somebody's having people over for after a wedding, or sadly after a funeral, we make accommodations on enforcement if we know something's going on. I think where it would give us some help would be a situation that has been articulated, a party that is on the brink of getting out of control, that we've been to 2 or 3 times, and we are now getting past a certain hour, and one of the means by which we could get this thing going along is to make an announcement that we will be tagging cars within 10 minutes if you don't leave. Well, ma'am, I want to tell you this, that would be professionally insulting to think that the police would let someone walk to a vehicle and drive, because I will tell you that we don't do that. Well, we do not do that. Yeah, we do think that through quite often, and yeah, believe me, but that is something that we think through quite clearly, having been to fatal accidents myself in which alcohol has been involved. No, but I mean, I'm just saying that if we were to be breaking up a party, our goal is not to break up a party to make life hazardous for people on the road, because we take the life of the motorist into account and the life of those that they might encounter. But I am saying that the idea of giving a mechanism for the police to go to a call and have something available to them would be a potential upside. However, I want to say, we are always able, in the great history of over 100 years of policing, able to improvise and adapt. And if someone is having a gathering that is not worthy of any type of police intervention, we encourage people to have those type of gatherings. And we do everything we can to make sure you have a good night. So, getting back to the idea as someone who's lived in the city my whole life, my family's been here since the 1860s, I do notice that even in my neighborhood, there are things that go on that would not be a reality 10 years ago of someone parking and walking to the train station. So there are areas that are impacted by it, and I do believe that if people live here and have vehicles, they should register them here and pay the taxes that you do. And that would be, I think, a benefit of this. Now, with regard to implementation of this, I would leave this to the public forums that are going on, and all of your concerns about fees and what have you would be questions that I would have as a Malden resident and someone who lives in the city too. But I just wanted to tell you, from the perspective of public safety, there are some very, very significant upsides to this. And I would not want to in any way, nullify, something that Councilor Kinnon said about the residual benefit of being more aware of a car in your neighborhood that is not from your neighborhood with regard to things like house breaks or crimes like that occur. So I will say that there are some undeniable benefits to this, but with regard to the way this thing would manifest itself, with regard to cost, fees, and all those implementation aspects, I would leave that up to the process where citizens speak on their behalf and representatives, listen to what they say. Anybody got any?
Is there any questions for the chief? We'll move right along.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you have any comments on, does the city of Ozark have passing a noise ordinance if the issues about people being loud?
Yeah.
Just address the noise. Do you feel like the permit sticker is the best way to go about solving that problem?
I'll talk to you afterwards. There is not, I don't want to detract from the reason why you're here, but I will talk to you about that. We do have something.
Thank you, chief.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, councilors. It's good to be here. I come to all of these meetings. I'm Leslie Regan. I live at 225 Hawthorne Street since 1978. I was born and brought up in Malden, so I know Malden. I don't think we are getting to the heart of the matter in Malden, to be truthful. We go around and around, but we don't address the issues. I looked up before I came tonight. Malden now has 300 Airbnbs. So when did we become the new Holiday Inn, is my question. In all of these Airbnbs that are really illegal rooming houses, because we have one in Don McCush's former beautiful home that's now trashed somewhat. All of these people have cars. I was at the dollar store.
Can I just interrupt you real quick? Can I, so Airbnb, for those who don't know, it is an online service where you put your house on and you can rent your house by the room like a hotel. And they're illegal in Malden by ordinance, but they've thrown us off their website. Other cities are taxing them like hotels. Other cities are outlawing them altogether, but they're tough to fight because they come in as fast as they can. I just want to give a little clarification, so it's called Airbnb. That is what she's talking about, where basically you're running a hotel out of your house. Continue.
We now have 7 cars on the corner of Hawthorne and Glenwood Street, New Hampshire residents. They're not Airbnb, which I disagree with anyhow. That's a rooming house for sure. When they bring their friends on the weekend, we now have anywhere from 2 to 3 more visitors coming up the street. We don't even know who these people are. I was at the dollar store and somebody pulled over and asked me if they could use my telephone 2 weeks ago. He had a phone in his hand. I said, why would you need my phone? You have your phone. He said, because I just arrived from Turkey and I don't have a SIM card and I'm trying to find this place where my friend and I are supposed to stay. They had 2 cars. I said, well, give me the number, I'll call the person. 479 Highland Ave, across from the tennis courts, across from Amherst Park. So I called, the woman called me back. She said, no, he thought it was 300 Highland Ave, it's 479. I said, okay, you people follow me up there. By the way, is this an Airbnb? He said, yeah, we're here for a conference, we'll be here for 2 weeks. 2 more cars. He couldn't find a spot on Highland Ave. He came up Glenwood Street. with 2 more cars. So I went back the next day because this was a very deceiving house, run down, overgrown. So I went the next day and I walked up there. And if you look behind, you'll see a double addition on the back that's kind of narrow. So you'd miss it. And they're all in there, staying there. My friends had family coming from Chicago. 7 family members, all staying on Upper Highland Ave, all in rented cars. So my thing is, let's get this straightened out before we start to tax the people who live here, take care of their homes, take pride in their homes, and furthermore, I don't want a sign in front of my house. I live on Upper Hawthorne Street because I want that grass on the sidewalk that I happen to take care of. My husband and I take great pride in our home. Anybody can go by it and see that.
So how would you suggest that they have?
I say we get them out of here first and see where our parking problems really are. Are they the train, or are they these people who are really staying in all our homes as a hotel?
No, and I agree with, just clarification. They have a Massachusetts rental car, and they park on Highland Ave. There's nothing we can do.
They didn't have a Massachusetts, they had a Maryland rent-a-car from Logan Airport.
Still can't do anything right now. We can't.
Well, I don't know. I agree with Carol. What's happening in Malden, we've overbuilt it. We haven't paid attention to who's coming in here, and we're gonna force out the people who really do take care of their homes and have cared about Malden. We're gonna leave, because who needs it?
I agree.
We don't need it. And so, we can go and let our house become an Airbnb and make money too, but at what point do we have pride in our city?
Are you for residential parking?
I'm really not, because I want this other stuff cleaned up first. I don't want a sign in front of my house either, I just don't.
Fair enough.
I'm about aesthetics, and I don't want to look like Southie.
Okay. Ma'am, next.
Hi, my name's Anne Marie Fula. I live at 29 Orchard Street, and I'm against the permit park, and I own a 2-family. And I have a tenant who is awesome and always takes care of it. We always take care of the parking and everything. So I'm against the parking because I don't feel as though we should have to, my tenant already paid, they already pay enough rent, and it's not enough to get good rental people in your apartment. And I don't feel as though that the city should charge them a fee for a permit parking. And then the trash bags also. They already pay for their trash bags, so why have to pay for a permit parking? It's ridiculous.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Marie O'Toole. I live at 130 Adams Street. I'm against the parking permits because I'm afraid that it's not going to be run the right way.
Okay.
Some of my concerns is that we've already paid excise tax and we get the first sticker free, but why does it have to be $50 for a second sticker if I get another car? For example, my parents, they like to get cars every couple of years. So now my father has to pay $50 for his sticker every couple of years. And I just think that that price in itself is very steep. I have a concern about the guest passes paying that much. I lived in Medford for 7 years, and I know apples and oranges, that's not what I'm saying. But we, with our sticker, we got one parking pass for our visitors free. And if we needed extras, then we paid extra, and it was only $5 for the extra. My other concern is that I live on Adams Street, and the charter school is right down the street. And I have multiple students who park on our street, and that's a concern. Do they get a free pass somehow because they're a student? And some of them would live in Malden, so maybe they do get a parking sticker, but some of them don't. And my other concern too is that I have students, my children go to the BB school, and we have had parking issues up there. What about drop off after school and before school? And we were told that we could park on certain streets a half hour before school starts and a half hour after. So that's something that I want to make sure stays in place for our parents who are dropping off and picking up students.
Yeah, can I just address that real quick?
Sure.
I know you live in Adams Street. I live in Adams Street, right across from Beebe.
Okay.
One of the biggest complaints I get from my neighbors is that people, I'm sure you don't block their driveway.
Right.
Like the gentleman said, and when somebody parks their car in front of a hydrant, pulls in the sidewalk and blocks your driveway, right? That makes those neighbors upset. And there's permanent parking there already.
Right, and
So-
I agree that people.
So that to me, I mean, I
Right.
can't guarantee that, but I think enforcement again is key. Because you have to be realistic, meaning if you're just dropping your child off, it's fine.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, and I'm sure you've seen this, I have somebody who's handicapped who goes to the hospital often, and I had a parent with good rights, wanted to walk their child to the corner, walked to this gentleman, and they couldn't drive him to the hospital, he's paraplegic, and they usually take him there. So that one to me is near and dear to my heart. I mean, it's common sense, right?
Absolutely,
I
it's common
agree.
sense. You don't park where you're not supposed to park. And this is something that when we have our school committee meetings, or not school committee, when we have our PTO meetings, we explain to the parents, this is what's in place, these are the streets you can park on. If it says it's a fire zone, don't park in a fire zone. You're not supposed to park
Yeah,
in
it's-
there.
that's permanent parking
Don't walk
anyways,
on
so
the
that
driveway,
should change.
don't, I mean, that's common
Yeah.
sense. But what my concern is that was already set up so that we do have parents who have to come and drive their children, and especially now where it was removed from, money was taken away from the transportation, and there's going to be a lot more parents who will be driving their students to school, so that's a concern. The other question I have is, if I have that parking sticker, am I going to be able to park anywhere in Malden because I'm a resident of Malden?
Yeah, the only place right now, again, in theory, would be you just can't park in the zones that have transit parking now. Because the fear would be is if you live in Hawthorne Street and you come from Adams Street, we wouldn't want you to be able to park in front of their house and walk the train.
Right, right.
So that's what we just don't want all the wards going to, and it's not just 3, it's 3, 4, parts of 5.
Well, as it is right now, Adams Street is starting to turn into a T-zone.
Well,
I've seen that
that's
as
the
it is.
domino effect.
So, exactly. And I know, like, another question, I have parents, not parents, my neighbors who, during the winter time, parked in front of their house to drop groceries off, and because it was the wrong side of the street, they got a ticket. So if they don't have a sticker on their car and they want to drop something into their house, and it just so happens they get a ticket because they don't have a sticker because they have a driveway, what are they supposed to do about that? That's something.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they would get a sticker if they got their car registered.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even if you have your driveway.
Everybody who has excise tax would get a sticker of the other.
Okay. And just a point of clarification, that at last night's school committee meeting, money was found and we will have an AD.
I heard that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Karen Lynch from Garden Street, and I came a little late, so I may have missed something. My concern is that...
Oh, you missed a whole lot.
Well, let's see if I missed this. With the sticker, when seniors and housebound people, they get, aides combined, nurses combined, Mystic Valley, all these people who don't usually have stickers, that say who they are. What's going to happen to them? Are they going to have to run in to get a sticker visitor? Because they used to do that. It's pretty bad when we do.
No, I mean, right now, again, we're using as the litmus test the areas of the transit that have that now. That's the process now. But, if this were to go through, there's technology out there where they can actually, you can print out passes online, so they have them, visitors, nurses, Meals on Wheels. I mean, because there's other communities that have, again, looking at some of the campus, they've done this in different zones. So, yeah, but we would absolutely want to provide those services to the indigent and the aged without creating, I don't want to take somebody delivering a hot meal to an elderly or shut-in. That is not my intent. Thank you. Sir? And I just want to let everybody know, Councilor, Madam President allowed us to go over our allotted slot to make sure we get everybody's attention, so we are running late on the council meeting. So I just want to let everybody know that we wanted to make sure we get everybody's information.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
My name is Sean Gallagher. I live at 14 Beltran Street. I'm a transport. I've lived here for 6 years, technically 5. I got a position, a job in Malden. I originally worked for TriCap as their manager. But anyways, I moved to Everett when I first moved down here. Within 2 weeks, I had 10 tickets because I didn't have my
Residential,
registration.
yeah.
Correct. It was just a difficult time, I didn't have money at that time. But basically, I went to the police chief and basically said, hey, I'm new, I just moved to Everett, I registered a vehicle. And basically he says, well, what I'll do for you is I'll cut it in half. Welcome to Everett. Proceeding after that, I ended up getting a ticket for being too close to a fire hydrant, being on the curb, I've got them all. I came from a small town out in Willoughby, Mass. So to me, this was all new. So after 6 months, I moved to Malden. And, basically didn't have all this parking. I just look at this all as being an infringement of our liberties. We should be able to park on the street. If I'm too close to the curb, too far away, it seems like sometimes it was being pushed too far. I do energy audits. I go to Somerville, I go to Cambridge. I talk to the people in the homes. They basically tell me they don't like it. It's an infringement.
Are you in the part of Belgium that has permit parking now? You said Belgium, right?
Belgium, yeah.
Lot 3?
Of what?
Off of Glenwood Street? You said
To be
Belgium?
honest with you, I'm a transport, I'm on GPS, I don't even know what street's next to me. By the way, I got a ticket for being on that. I can throw a stone at Belgium House. It was, dude, I think it's Clifton.
Because part of, the reason I'm asking, part of Belcher now has permit parking.
Yes, that's what you got.
So you have permit parking?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But anyways, I think it will get out of control. It's subjective. We just don't need it. I understand you got budget issues. It's a tough place to be, but, getting creative. The problem is, there's not enough parking. There's too many cars, there's too many people. That's the real problem. If we come up with escalator garages or some sort of technology where you can zap your car and it goes into your pocket, but that's not here.
If you get the patent for that, I wouldn't throw it down.
But it's thinking outside the box. The city's growing. So I don't have a solution. I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but it's just a infringement.
Fair enough. You all set?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Sir, name and address for the record?
My name is Brian Flacy, 1 Earl Street. 3 things. One is, we've heard a number of people talk about this Hawthorne Street situation. We know it's existed for 6, 9, 12 months, long time, right? So it seems like we really should get that fixed. And why can't we get that fixed? Well, I mean, so there are people parking on the street, and another issue that has come up in relation to that actually recently is safety, access to that road, right? So people park right at the corner. People are concerned that fire engines aren't going to be able to get by. You get other people saying they'll get by, they'll just smash through the cars. Yep. But it clearly is a public safety issue. It's not just a nuisance to the neighbors, which you've heard. So that's my first one, which is fix that, please. The second one is I just echo what Ms. Regan said. I just empathize a lot with her concerns, which is let's fix the stuff, the big stuff, and clear that out and prove to ourselves that we can do that. I also empathize with her message, which is I don't really want to look outside and see more street signs. 6,500 street signs is a lot of street signs. Give us a third of those and the number of trees, and I think people would be a lot happier with that as far as that goes. So principally those, and the third thing I guess I'd like to toss out is that people have some real specific concerns. We heard it here tonight, somebody parks in their driveway. I've heard this from other folks as well, that they've got problems when people will just, they'll block their driveway or they'll park in their driveway. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable stuff. And I'm sure if the police were called, they would address that. A parking sticker program isn't going to make a difference one way or another. We still need to be able to fix those issues that currently break the ordinances that we do have. You can't park you can't park in front of fire hydrants, you can't park on people's private property. But I would like to just finally say thank you very much for having this public hearing, because clearly it was a good turnout. People care a lot about this, and it's a credit to you for calling it. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the input. So it looks like you're the final one. Oh, no, you're not. See what happens when you jump quick?
Anne Marie Sullivan, I'm on Harvard Street in Malton.
Yep.
I would say that currently I'm against having the program, that's why I came towards the end. But I can be swayed, the concerns that I would have. Well, in theory, from everything I've heard, because I haven't been as involved in it until a big meeting like this, there's a lot of good reasons for it, T aside. I mean, that's a big one, but there's a lot of other reasons for it. But I would have several concerns in the way that I've heard it be introduced tonight.
Yep.
I don't live near the T, that I'm aware of it being part of the issue. But I keep hearing about these big apartment buildings. If everybody who's got an excise tax is gonna get a sticker mailed for free, all those people in the apartment buildings, assuming they're paying their excise tax in Malden since they're living there, that's not gonna solve them parking on the street, because once they get a sticker, they can still park on the street. So every single person who's got an issue with those people not parking in their lots, not sure how that fixes it, so that doesn't seem to work for anything. I have a home that I live in with my mother, and we pay property tax, I pay excise tax. I'm already paying. You're asking me now to pay for the privilege of living in the city that I have a home in, that I live in, because I have a car. At the end of the day, I grew up in Malden High class of 1988, don't do the math. But I did move out for a while, came back for family reasons, and I have history in the city, and unfortunately the issues that are generating this parking program are not because of the real residents of the city. Whomever's on the planning committee allowing those behemoths to be built without parking is ridiculous. I do live in a two-family, and there's most of my area is two families where the parents lived on one floor. When their kids got married, they got moved upstairs, bought the house next door. I mean, you know, the whole thing. So there's plenty of 2 and 3 families. Most of us have driveways. But again, they started putting in huge complexes. The ones that have the lots are great, but how do they build something and not account for at least one car per unit, which again, we all know is not realistic. So to solve the T problems and to solve some of the other residential, and if the excise tax issue is really a problem, I think that's great. But it's not going to take cars off the street if they're parking there, if they're going to get a free pass. I shouldn't have to pay for the privilege to live in the city when I'm already paying, sorry guys, but more than I probably should, because I won't bring up the bags. So I don't understand why you guys want to like charge us more to live here, but to me, you're asking people to not live here. You're going to start pitting homeowners versus renters, which is probably already started, because the homeowners are paying much more in taxes and water bills and sewer bills that renters, maybe you can say they're paying in their rent, but we all know they're absentee landlords, so that money's not really coming into our pockets. And quite honestly, one of the things that Councilor Kinnan had mentioned, and it's not scare tactics, is not having an athletic director. Again, it seems to me part of the problem is you're building behemoth buildings, which is causing the schools to now get overcrowded with less property taxes because it's not homes that people are paying taxes on. That, you know, if we could institute a program where we gain back the excise tax, but the people who live here don't pay for the privilege of living here, you might solve some of the problems, but I think there's a lot more work than something written 30 years ago.
Yes, good points.
I'm John Zaya, I'm over on Pierce Street in Ward 5. I'm against the program, but I'm not trying to interfere with law enforcement. I don't want to keep the city from making money. I just have reservations about some of the stuff that just kind of was presented. So I saw one of the things that other people before me just said, as far as if the people end up paying excess tax for their cars, it won't solve the parking problem. They'll still be on the road. The flip side of that, I think, is that we're at the end of the line, at the orange line. I don't think when we compare ourselves to Everett, I just don't think we're looking at the right things. I don't think we're factoring in that a lot of people are coming from north of us and parking here. And that those people, we're not going to get the excise tax if these people aren't all the residents.
So they wouldn't be able to park on the street.
Right, but we'll solve the parking problem, but then we won't get the money. So we can't have both. It's an either or situation. Basically,
I think you can vote.
Right, but if somebody is a Malden resident and they don't have their car registered, or these are legal boarding houses basically, if those people are filling our curbs, basically we'll get the excise tax from them if they register their cars, and then they'll still be able to park here, right?
Well, I mean, that's, if somebody, the illegal parking is a completely different story. I mean, if you get 9 cars in a single family, there's probably 5 violations right there for the Board of Health, living space where we don't have an insight, so that's part of it, you know.
But I'm thinking if the people that are filling the streets are just driving over from Norwich to get closer to the T, we won't get the excise tax from that. So I think that'll undercut some of the benefits in that total. That's all I'm saying. I don't think people are driving through Malden to park near Everett to get to the T, stopping at the end of the line. So I thought.
No, fair enough, I understand.
The other thing is, as far as Miguel said, we want these policies to be fair and equitable. If we do any exemptions for the business areas, we have to realize that they're also becoming the luxury condo neighborhoods. So those people won't have the same burden as the people on the outskirts to purchase guest passes and have issues for parking. And if they do, they're going to park in spots where somebody would be doing business and helping our local businesses. So like if somebody's living in a condo downtown, I don't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, all the business areas would be completely different. They would be open for the merchants. I mean, that's
right. They'll be open for the merchants, but they're also luxury neighborhoods at the moment too. Those people will be getting preferential treatment.
Well, they should be able to park within a certain amount of time. That's another.
Right, but I'm just saying it's not fair across the board though.
Okay.
As well. And then the other thing is that it's good that they're looking to make exemptions for people seniors, people with disabilities, people that need care. But there's a whole spectrum along the line before people end up in that security net, where people are getting help from family and friends and anybody they can get on any given day, and they're going to need those people to feel welcome to come in. I mean, I've had my grandparents, they moved in with my family before passing away, and anybody that can come home from work or have a day off, we needed those people to come in and help them through the meals, help them get ready, and just those kind of things. I feel like those people, they're going to fall through the cracks and be pushed onto the social services faster, or they just won't be accommodated the same way if we deter them in this kind of programs. And, yeah, other than I talked to the sergeant about it, I think the noise ordinance will be just as effective as far as the noise is the issue. I think it's time for that to break up parties and to have people calling every time they want an exemption for that. They've been very good. It's not parking on my street, on your street, but anytime there's something going on a holiday, they'll call up or a party, they'll call and they'll get that. But if we're going to invest in these signs, I don't want to draw resentment now that people are getting privileged. Sure, everybody can do it, but we're paying for these signs for a reason. We want to get them on. We want to discourage certain behavior, not just pay for these signs and then let everybody call the police chief to get exemptions.
No, fair enough. That's it. All right, you will be the last one.
I'm the last one, I'm the lucky one, yes. I live in Boylston Street, and I think that I am against the fees that you have. I own a house, and I have a parking space to park, but I have tenants. And $50 that's a lot of money, for some people. I think that it should be considered, less, more flexible. And I think that probably is a good idea, but right now the price is completely wrong.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, thank you. All right, is there anybody on the ordinance committee who wants to have a minute? Okay, anybody off the ordinance? Councilor Condon? Sorry.
I'm a counselor too. I'm a counselor.
Sir, just let council speak. Councilor Condon.
You're asking me to speak. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to try to simplify this thing for myself and my neighborhood. You can ride down the streets of Edgewood. You see cars from New Jersey, New York, and you know they're not paying excise taxes like we are. And I resent it. I think that we've got an obligation, if people are sleeping at night in this city, parking their cars, taking up parking spots, that they should be paying their excise taxes in the city. And there's a lot of cars and a lot of people that aren't. The city right now, it's unbelievable how many people are buying property and they're just renting out to students, making rooming houses, and they're professional landlords. I had a house on Pleasant Street. Fortunately, we were able to get in there. This was about 10 years ago. There was 24 people living in the basement in cubicles, paying $300 a month. The person that owned the house was from Brookline. He's collecting $6,000 a month. It took us over 2 years through the court system, and he knew the system, to get him out of there and get him out of the city. It cost him a lot of money in the end, but they worked the system. Everywhere you look, these rooming houses are popping up. We don't know who lives in our city anymore. We say 61,000 people in this city. I think it's closer to 70,000. Because it's people living in homes, it's incredible. Houses go up for sale, all of a sudden you see 8, 10, 12 people in and out of the homes. So I don't think it's so wrong to go after the people that aren't paying the excise taxes. The thing is, we're not charging people who live here, pay their excise taxes, they get a sticker for nothing. Right now they're paying. I know in my ward, it started out Chester Street, resident parking. So now they moved to Sterling Street, Hubbard Street, Charles Street, Whitman Street. Now they're parking on Adams Street and Emerald Street, Mall Street, Thatcher Street, and you can see them, you just have to watch them walk up Pearl Street with their briefcases. We're being the people that live in Melrose, Andover, Tewksbury, they're coming here because we're at the end of the T line, and they're taking up parking spots that belong to the people. I have wonderful tenants. Sometimes they have to park 2 blocks over because they can't find a spot in their own neighborhood. And those spots are being taken up by people that are coming to take the T. You see them park their cars, and you can't stop them from parking their cars on the street. Get in their briefcase and walk into the T. You can watch them walk down Pleasant Street, walk up Pearl Street. And that's what's happening. If we can work this out, everybody has issues, for sure. I know if I was going to have a few people over the house, I'd probably park my cars out in the street and let my visitors park in my driveway. And that's not a problem. That works out that way. But there's always going to be issues that we have to work on, and people have individual problems. But the overall concept of this thing, we have to do something. The city's being overrun. Winter parking, and you have people taking your spots after you break your back, shoveling in front of your house, and they come down because you leave for work, they take your spot and walk to the T. It just doesn't seem right. And they have nothing invested in this city. They just don't want to go to the garage and pay a fee to park. It's a lot easier to walk a half a mile and get on the T, and they save money. But who suffers? The people that pay the taxes in the city. So I'm 100% in favor of this, working on this, trying to solve some of the problems that people do have. I know there are some issues out there, but the overall concept, I really think, I would like to see people from Tewksbury and Wilmington park in Tewksbury and Wilmington, not on Gale Street or Pearl Street or the streets around the T. And I think that's what we have to enforce. As far as the ticketing goes, we have talked about ward-based ticketing. So that each ward gets looked at and gets a person down in the area making sure that people are parking properly and that the cars that belong there are there. Right now, that isn't happening. The parking people mostly pay attention to the square area and the little squares. This has to expand out because the biggest problems are in the neighborhoods. So we need to go with the ward-based people and make sure that this enforcement gets done. We're gonna try to do it as fair as we can. We've got a lot of good input tonight, and I'm sure councilors right now are thinking about different things that they like what they heard. It won't be perfect. Maybe it won't even come in, but I'll tell you right now, it'd be a lot better coming in and allow people in Edgewood to be able to park in front of their homes, because they can't park there now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cronin. Appreciate it, President Bob Murphy.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora. I wanted to mention a couple of things tonight. Just for everyone out in the audience and people listening on TV tonight, we as a council don't come up with these ideas randomly. We basically come up with ideas or ordinances or suggestions because all of us receive calls about a problem. And I receive many calls, as many of the other councilors do, about many of the things that we've spoken about tonight. The inability to park in front of your own home, the inability, out-of-state cars that are in front of your house, the fact that there's not enough parking enforcement because there's no money to hire more people to go out and actually go into the neighborhoods and enforce someone parking, too close to a curb, parking in front of a fire hydrant. So this is not something that we just got together and came up with to, just put to the public. This is basically a reaction to comments that constituents have made to us. And as we sat down and we started to say, what can we do? What can we do as a council to try to help some of these problems, to make them better, to make them go away, to identify where the illegal rooming houses are, to stop, to actually find the boarding houses, to create a better living environment for our constituency. We've sat down and worked very hard to put together basically a straw man. Okay, this is not something that we plan to shove down anyone's throats. This is why we're having public hearings. We want your input, but we also want you to recognize is you might be for it or you might be against it. There's people on both sides, and people in the city all have different problems. And we're trying to come up with a solution that will make our lives better. It's not something the council necessarily wants to do. It's something that is needed, okay? And how it actually ends in the end, what it looks like, we don't know. It's a work in progress. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you via email, via telephone. We'd love people to please continue to come out to the public hearings, be constructive, tell us, how you think we can make it better, come up with solutions, help us come up with the perfect program, or help us come up with in the end, make the decision that we don't want a program. But unless we do something about some of the problems that are consistently being raised by the constituents, we're going to still be where we are today. We're not going to have the resources to be able to enforce parking, as many people have said tonight. Sergeant Dietz mentioned how many staff he had. Well, that's 220 hours a week of parking supervisors to be able to go out and monitor traffic in the city of Malden. That's actually 1.25 people per day. So to take care of downtown Malden, all the parking lots in all 8 wards in the schools, you can tell 1.25 people is not going to take care of all the parking problems, in the city of Malden in a day. So, in order to address some of these things, we're trying to, as I said, come up with a solution. Okay, we're tossing it out to all of you to get your comments. In the end, people who want it, if we don't do it, they're going to be upset we didn't do it. People who don't want it, if we do it, they're going to be upset that we did do it. But, hopefully in the end, there'll be some solution that everyone can come together and we'll come up with a solution that will make us a better place to live and raise a family. I also wanted to just thank Councilor Spatafora and the entire Ordinance Committee for all the hard work, because they've spent many hours working on this to actually put this presentation together for you. And, we'll spend a lot of time this summer, as Councilor Spatafora said, they're not planning on going into recess. They're going to continue throughout the summer to try to come up with some type of a solution that will benefit the entire city. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor Di Maria.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora, and thank you, Councilor Murphy, President, for all those great points. I do have to say, as an at-large councilor, there were over 75 people in attendance. I thank each and every one of you for coming, whether you are for this or against it. From my perspective, it was very informative. I am kind of weighing in on what the community, you're driving this, just so you know. I did hear loud and clear that the cost is a big concern, signage is a big concern, and who actually is going to manage this. But overall, it's great that we've identified this as a major problem in our home, Malden. And I look forward to solving this problem together, and I thank each and every one of you.
Thank you, Councilor Maria. Councilor Matheson. You get to Councilor Matheson to speak.
Thank you, Council Chair, and I want to thank everyone for coming. I saw a lot of Ward 3 residents in the audience. Rick and Tim Piquetta here, and Tim, I want to thank you for your thoughts. I thought you did a really fantastic job here tonight. I saw the Flanagans here, and they had left, Miss Regan. I heard from Miss Sweeney earlier, Mr. Magna was here, Mr. Weston, Ms. Thorson is still here, and Mr. Cullen. I'm going to be flattered. I'm going to choose to be flattered that you wanted so anxiously to hear my thoughts on the subject, and I'm pleased to give them. So I'm not on the ordinance committee, but I do attend all the meetings that I'm free to attend when I don't have conflicts with other committee meetings. And I have weighed in on this subject, and I do know that Councilor Kinna, Councilor Spatafora, and others put a lot of work into this. There have been a couple different iterations. I want to start by saying the city does have a parking problem. We have a lot of cars sharing a finite amount of space. We have commuters coming in to take the train, taking up our parking spaces. We have these Airbnb folks, and we have some rooming houses, and we have a lot of unregistered vehicles that don't pay excise tax here in Malden, also taking up parking space. So you have a lot of people competing for a scarce resource. That's what this parking sticker program was meant to address. This isn't the first time it's come up. It came up years ago. I agree with the sentiment that's out there that we do need to step up enforcement regardless of the parking sticker program. But why should we have one? There are some benefits to having a parking sticker program. I'd also like to mention that our city clerk is a Ward 3 constituent. She wanted to hear me speak as well. So, for one thing, we have the scarce resource, we don't have enough spaces. And we have folks that live in one of the parking zones now, because they might be in a transit zone, a T zone, and if they park the street over because they can't find a parking space, well, now they've moved from zone 2 to zone 3 and they got a parking ticket. And they're actually homeowners, and they pay property taxes, and they live here in Malden, they pay excise taxes, and we're writing parking tickets for these individuals because they live in a parking zone that stops center line in the street. And I've done a traffic commission, and I think this is wrong, but it's the practice that we're in. We're actually ticketing our residents that are doing the right thing. And I don't want to see our residents that have been law-abiding and faithful residents of Malden pay anything more for the privilege of parking on their streets. I think that these public roads belong to our residents. They belong to the public. And I don't want to throw up another barrier to their ability to park on the roads. So, do we need to charge a $50 fee? I didn't conceive of this $50 fee. In fact, I'm saying now what I said in committee, which is I think that we could have a parking sticker program. And I would only support it if it had enforcement and didn't charge a fee to the law-abiding residents that pay the excise tax here in the city. I've heard estimates that the additional excise tax raised, if we were to have such a sticker program, would be in the neighborhood of $500,000. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. I'm relying on numbers that came from Everett and estimates, and Councilor Kinnon's figures were in the mid-300s. I've heard other folks say it could even exceed 500. Whatever infrastructure improvements you need to make in way of signage, I think that those increased excise taxes could fund that. I don't think we need to be charging the residents for the privilege of something that they enjoy today, which is parking on the public roads. I have a legitimate concern about what happens if I have guests. I think that is an issue that needs to be resolved before we pass such a program. My biggest trepidation is that a $50 fee today could be a $100 fee tomorrow, and we don't know where that's going to stop. As far as parking enforcement, those positions, taking this from the chief during the finance meetings, they traditionally funded themselves. It's a revenue-generating position. So I would hope that if we were going to step up enforcement, something that I've heard from everyone here, with or without this program, we need greater enforcement to resolve some of the problems. I think we definitely need to take a hard look at what we are doing now in the way of parking enforcement and enforce the rules we have now. And if we are going to roll out such a program, it needs to be enforced or it will fail. One thing I did hear that was provocative from the chief, it will help with their parking enforcement and crime enforcement. I do think that there is some benefit to it in that way. But I learned a lot by listening, not only to the committee members and the councilors, but also to the residents, and I think we've got some valuable information here tonight. I don't think we're anywhere close to passing this program, but I want to thank you, Mr. Cullen, for asking for my thoughts. I want to thank everyone for coming, and again, Burkett's and Tim, thank you for your thoughts on the subject.
Sorry. Thank you, Councilor Matheson and Councilor Kinnon.
Yes, and thank you, Councilor Spatafor, and thank you, everybody, for who came this evening. I just want to make a few points very clear. I have absolutely no problem with not charging a fee. Don't anybody be mistaken, however. Today we collect between $200,000 and $300,000 a year in fees on the residents, where the resident sticker parking is occurring. And that is rising every year because we add more streets every year. So if Councilor Matheson, if we charge no fee, are we going, the question is, will we leave the fee where it already exists? Because if we subtract that fee, which I think would be the only equitable thing, because then you'd say nobody in the city pays for the fee, then the excise tax that we are going to get is gone. And I will stand by my figures that I've presented tonight. I think I have a track record that said 4 years ago on a pro forma that this city would have a deficit of $4 million this year. When they came forward with the fees for the trash bags, the estimate that the city gave was that it was going to be $2.5 million. I gave a pro forma that said it would not exceed $1.5 million, which it did not. So the numbers that I've given are conservative estimates, but if we eliminate the fee, we will essentially have no money to do what needs to be done from excise tax. Eliminating the existing fees will wipe out most of, if not all, of the existing excise tax. Unless those numbers are much higher than I projected, again, I will stand by my projections now from my track record on projecting in the past. So I'll leave it at that, but not having a fee will mean something that I personally couldn't vote for because we will be subtracting off the fees already paid. Those who are paying fees today, on average, on grade average, based upon the average of the length of people owning cars today, those people who live in Ward 3 and have sticker parking today, those in 2, 4, 1, they will pay less under this program. $50 may not be the right number, but on averages, people will pay significantly less than they're paying now.
Thank you, Councilor Kinnon. Councilor D'Angelo. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm hitting the name, but not the right one.
I will speak to you, Councilor.
You did.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, just to conclude, I don't want to go back over stuff, the ground that's already been covered. I think this is a hot button issue, right? And this is beyond just parking. I mean, some of the things I was taking notes over there. I heard environmental issues mentioned. I heard transportation issues mentioned, obviously. Public safety issues mentioned. Education issues, zoning, housing, enforcement. All these issues get brought in with this one issue. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's such a hot button issue. And it's great, the turnout. I think we learned a great deal tonight from our residents. Both things that can make it potentially better and challenges and concerns that people have as well. So, one thing just to clarify, I just want to clarify, and maybe I'm in error, but I don't think so. I thought a couple of weeks back in committee, I was clearly the minority there. I had asked to do a robocall. I didn't notice that one was done. I did one last night. I think we got a good turnout as a result of that. So I hope my colleagues here don't think I was trying to do an end around. I just think that this is a very important issue. It's an important issue to me. I've heard from a number of constituents on it, as I'm sure you all have as well. So that's the reason. I hope everybody doesn't think I was trying to go around, but again, I thought we had agreed to that. So that's why I took it upon myself to do it. So again, I'm looking forward to further debate on this, whether it be for the summer or the rest of the year. Thank you again for everybody for showing up. Really appreciate it. This is democracy in action. This is how things get done. I think we can agree to disagree on various points. We're all trying to improve the city of Malden. We know there are significant parking challenges, and it's just how do you go about trying to alleviate that? I think we're all trying to do it. We have different ways. So I respect everybody's position, and thank you everybody for your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor D'Angelo. And I'll have the last lights on the councilors. First of all, I want to thank the participation of the audience. I mentioned at the beginning of this exercise, we passed the budget last week. I think it was $170 million. We had public debate, and 2 people showed up. We proposed a citywide parking plan. We have over 75 people showing up. We cut $2.5 million out of the school budget. It was passed. Again, 2 people showed up. But we look for parking, 75 show up. So I wish we had the same attendance record at the budget meetings as we do at the parking meetings. I'm very passionate about this. I've been on the forefront of this for 3 years. More than 3 years, almost 10 years. 80% of my calls to council at large, barring the last 2 weeks with the trash, has literally been parking issues. And what I find, which I think is great, 4 or 5 of the residents who spoke, their problems were not people parking in front of their house. I don't have visitor passes. Do you know why? Because they live in a permanent parking area right now, and it works. So if that number is $50, if that number is $10, we know it works. That's the Petri dish. We surely know we do not have enough enforcement. The police department, you look at the numbers, they're not doing it. They don't have enough time. They're focusing on bigger and larger issues, which I think everybody in this room can appreciate. Also, we would love to hire more traffic enforcement. But part of this plan is bringing some revenue in from the combination of excise tax and commuters. I honestly believe you'll still get, a nominal sum of money from commuters trying to come and park here. But as a councilor, when I get a parking problem outside of those parking areas, my hands are tied. I can have the cops sit there all day long, just like a speeding trap, and we might catch them once or twice. But we all know in this room where it does. I can't have a cruiser sit on that street 24 hours a day trying to enforce it. And as soon as the cop leaves, what do? One of my other pet peeves for everybody watching TV, I'm the council driving around. If you're parking on your lawn, don't vote for me because I'm turning your names in. There's an ordinance. I enforce it. No parking on the sidewalk. I enforce it. There's not enough of me to go around. We need more enforcement. Unfortunately, enforcement costs money. And all I'm asking everybody here to do is help me as a councilor protect the rest of the city. The people in the wards that have the permit parking, they're fine. Yeah, I completely understand. My husband's got a commercial car. I want to have a party. We have residential parking. We only have so many permits. But it works. It somewhat works. No system is perfect. What I'm asking for, even if you're against it because of the fee, suggest another fee. Or more importantly, when I have a problem where I get too many cars in the street, whether they're registered in Malden or not, it's a legal apartment, the first tool we can do is if you've got to register your car in the city of Malden and pay excise tax, it's going to be more money for you to live here, especially if it's a legal apartment. Chances are, you're not going to rent yourself in that illegal apartment. That's the first sign we can get. And I'm going to get that, okay? Now we hear from all these Airbnbs. That is a problem, and it's going to get worse. So if somebody parks in front of your house and you're in a non-parking street, and they're going back and forth to the commuter rail, and in front of your car is not, in front of your street, with the street sweeper is not getting clean, I can do nothing. I can do nothing. And all I ask from the residents, I plead with them, even if you're, I mean, if you're against the fee, it's one thing, and I get it, I do. But if you're not against necessarily just the fee, and you want to help the council, we need your input. I plead. I live in Elm Street. I pay for my permit to park in front of my house. I am blessed I have a large driveway, okay? But it works for me. It works because I have a large driveway. I don't have to put the cars in the street. But other people who don't have that privilege, whether they're renters or not, and they're law-abiding citizens, when a commuter comes in, because for me it's illegal apartments in the commuters, right? It goes hand in hand. The commuters come here and they park in Ward 8, they park in Ward 7, they get in front of your house, they drop the trash, because it happens, and they take the bus every day, and you pull up in front of your house, maybe to visit your mother, maybe to drop the TV off, and you can't park in front of your house. I can't help you. I cannot help you right now. And I know I'm raising my voice, stuff like that, but there's so many calls I take, and that's why for the third time in a row, we come back to the plan that somebody created in 1981. It's the common denominator here is some type of citywide parking. Some type. Fee, no fee, $10, $5, we'll work it out. But I think we all agree here to there's too many cars, there's parking problems. There are absolute parking problems in Malden. And I think the best example for me, and I'll go back to it, is the wards that have it, by the way, continue to add to those streets, it works. It absolutely works. Now, the visitor parking is something we've always talked about. That is a challenge, even if you got to limit that because you don't want to have 37, visitor passes so they can sell them. Because guess what they do? They sell the visitor passes online. We catch them all the time. Somebody takes a copy of the visitor pass and they sell it to somebody, and no offense to Melrose or Wakefield or Tewksbury, so they can park in front of my house. And guess what? I catch them. Because I run the plates and they're not tied to that. And it's twofold. We need to have some common denominator ordinance, and we need to have enforcement. And I'm pleading as the ordinance chair for the third time. If it doesn't go through, it'll probably never happen, and we'll piecemeal it. But I live here, I got 3 kids. I want to see the money go towards reinvest in the city of Malden. Council Kinnan gave a great financial data, right? Next year, we'll probably have to maybe get rid of some parking people. Maybe we have to get rid of a police officer. If we have this means to collect, I'm not saying for the residents, I'm saying from the enforcement arm, in putting more people in the street and doing that, we can use the money in the right way and reinvest it. This city overly voted for the Community Preservation Act. It voted for it. And I don't know if everybody knows, that's a tax, people, and that's going on everybody's payroll. And what is that money for? Projects that we cannot do. So sometimes I find it ironic when people come up and say, I don't want to pay a tax, but they voted for the CPA. You can't have your cake and eat it both ways. You want to reinvest the city? I'm not the guy sitting here and going after taxes, but I can damn well assure you, I live here, I'm not moving out. You want to make it better? Give me some suggestions, give the council suggestions, and we got to work it out. But the plan in 3 and 4 and 1 has to resonate to the entire community. And again, I just go back to the point where the people in Ward 3 come here and say, I'm against it. You're living in it. You're living in it right now. There's nobody parking in front of your house because you have to get a permit. It doesn't make sense to me. The visitor passes to me are definitely the thing, the price we can work on. That's all I ask. People online, please, there's a survey. People who could not come down, we're going to do, I think I'll meet with the ordinance committee, I'll meet with the council as a whole, and we'll see if we want to go forward. Hopefully they do. To some degree, we'll have more of these meetings. And I also get emails, 5:30 is too easy, too early, I work. We do them at 8 o'clock, people say, I can't come because I need a babysitter. We'll try to accommodate all the hours. That's why we did online survey. You're getting something in your mail in July, a survey in the mail it in. Call your counselors, but I plead this. Just help us. I can get up on that side of the podium and tell you 37 reasons why I'm against it, but if I get 1 or 2 reasons how we can fix it, it helps us much easier. I appreciate everybody's time, I appreciate everybody's candor, and I now take a motion from Councilor Di Maria. Councilor Di Maria to adjourn, seconded by Councilor O'Malley. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you.